Hello my friends, this is Spartan Ireland and going to share with you my North Carolina Ultra Beast post-race. Let you know a little bit about how the course was, how did I do, how do I feel coming out of it. So how was the course? Nice and flat, basically no elevation gain. The map said 900 feet, but spread out over 30 miles. That 900 might as well be zero. You're not going to feel any climbing anywhere on that course. Other places I've been that have been quite flat, been Alabama and Jacksonville. Same thing. I mean, nothing to mention in terms of altitude above sea level and just no elevation gain out on the course. So definitely a runner's course. We got a nice variety of terrain. Sometimes we were on sand, but most of the time we had a pretty good dirt trails to go on. Probably about, for the course of the Ultra, about 30 creek crossings. So lots of getting the feet wet and muddy, and also just kind of slowing down your speed. In my opinion, it's not a great idea to try and run fast or jump far if you're not going to clear the creek into muddy water where you just can't see what kind of branches and sticks and obstacles you got down there that you don't want to be in full stride with the possibility of wedging one foot in between a couple of logs you can't even see with all your forward momentum behind that. You could get a serious injury. So I do take it a little bit careful with the muddy creek crossings. Obstacles, the course was 36, but we only do the A-frame and the fire jump on the final lap for the Ultra Beast. So 34 and 36, 70 obstacles for the Ultra Beast. It was the weather was decent to us. I would much rather have warmth to deal with than risk of just getting too cold, risk of hypothermia, things like that. All my other ultras have been in North Lake Tahoe, and weather and gear and the mountain swim. There's a bunch of factors in a place that's high elevation and where you can get just really cold weather. 2 of the times out of the 4 ultras I did in North Lake Tahoe, we had snow, we had air temps below freezing, so hypothermia was a big risk there. I was really happy to be going into a warm environment, Ultra Beast, and know that I just had to take care of hydration. The forecast was maybe we were going to get short spells getting dumped on by the rain. There was practically nothing during my time out on the course, which was between 6 a.m. and 12:25. There was a brief dumping later in the afternoon. Some people are still out on course, but so the weather was decent, and it meant that the obstacles weren't too slippy. So that was nice. One thing to keep in mind with the way they do the ropes on the slip wall now, the ropes weren't too short, but you did need to get a run and go, and they actually have black like electrical tape or something like that, some kind of black tape down at the bottom of the rope. It meant you had to get like a good 9 inches up on the rope to get the real rope, because that wet tape was just slicker than snot. So you really needed to get a little up on the rope past that tape to land a good grip and hold yourself on the wet metal wall. How did I do with the obstacles? I made my spear throws. The only thing that I just lost my grip, and it was just a fatigue in the hands thing, combined with the motion on the beater on my second lap. So I did burpees one time. Other than that, clean race. And so my strategy going into that was to treat that first lap just like that's it. This is all it is just a beast. And, don't hold anything back. I was intended to go 100%. That was my thought going into it. And me and one other guy who had a really great finish time, I think he was in the 25-29 group, we jumped out in front for the beginning of the race. And he and I were pretty close for quite a long time. He ended up with a better finish than me. While I went into it thinking I want to just attack this first lap with 100% effort, I just couldn't mentally make myself actually do 100%. And as I was cruising along and kind of seeing, where I was, if I passed a mile marker and how much time had gone by, and, I felt like I'm not going as fast as I should. I know I could do more than this, but at the same time, I just couldn't get away from the knowledge that, okay, besides pace management, and of course, you can, go harder than you can really handle early on and suffer for it later in the race. I wasn't going, like I said, I could feel that I wasn't hitting my 100% effort, kind of bumping the red line tempo. But what I couldn't get away from in my thoughts was that I don't just have to manage my pace. 30 miles of pounding the ground, and I don't train really past like beast distance in my training workouts. Is 30 miles is just a really long stretch and a lot of hours, a lot of opportunity just for some kind of repetitive motion kind of injury. Something can get hurt, something can tighten up, IT band tighten up, get something not feeling right in a foot or an ankle or whatever, and that's a long ways to go. So I couldn't really commit to that 100% effort. I felt like I was probably doing about 90%. And to do a little comparison, I finished that first lap just under 2.5 hours. It was even. The bonus ultra loop was the same on lap 1 and lap 2. So it was an even 15 miles each time. So just under 2.5 hours is just under about the 10-minute course mile tempo. To give an example of where that has sat competitively for me, if I look back, back in May in Montana, 13.5 miles. My goal was to hit that 10 minutes per course mile tempo, which of course is running a lot faster than 6 miles an hour because it's 10 minute per course mile, including all the obstacles and everything else. But so that would have been 13.5 miles in Montana, 135 minutes, so a 2:15, and I almost got it. I finished it at 2:18, but that put me at first overall for all the age group competitors. But Montana does have more incline, more elevation, which is going to impact the overall tempo. So I felt like I should be going faster than that, like I said, on that flatter course. But there's a little more to manage over the course of a 30-mile event. So, like I said, I felt like I was going about 90%. And so if you look at, 2.5 hours, 15 miles, if you compare that to a friend of mine who, excelled in the Beast and didn't run the Ultra, he was an hour and 55. So let's see, where was I? Did 15 miles. If you took off a couple of those for the Beast, then I would have been more like a 2:08. So if I gauged that correctly, that it felt like about 90%, and you take another 12, 13 minutes off of 2:08, it'd be around that 155, 156, which is where a friend of mine who took first overall, that's where he was at on his 13-mile Beast course. So I think that I gauged that about right, about a 90% effort on that first lap. In transition, like I said, I don't train for 30. I normally do beast distance training. When I have pushed my run training beyond the 20-mile mark back in 2015 and 16 to prepare for Ultra Beasts, all I ended up doing was getting a repetitive motion or repetitive impact training injury, and it took me off of running completely right before the event happened. So since then, I just train for the beast distances. So going in transition, I know 30 miles, it's a lot. I don't want to bonk out there. So I did change shoes and socks, ate food, grabbed a hydration pack, which I left behind for the first lap. First lap, I just took water on course and just treated it like a beast. But I took hydration and electrolytes, calories for the second lap. I don't know if that was the best idea. I spent 10 to 12 minutes in transition because I didn't feel like I had totally run out of juice at the end of those 15 miles to do the first lap. But I just felt like I couldn't get it going really at all. I didn't have a good run tempo the entire second half, so that my first lap was under 150 minutes. My second lap was like 205 minutes, so a huge slowdown on that. I felt like I had just kind of a weak jog through most of it. Just kind of trotting along, trying to not give back anything that I had gained in the first lap, or not give it all back. And sometimes I was even just walking. I'm like, man, what are you doing? You can't walk. You're not going to walk your way into a win. Of course, my goal in going to North Carolina, that was the one ultra left on the calendar that was available for me to use in attempt to qualify for the Ultra World Championship in Colorado coming up in October. So I really needed, I had that pressure that I put on myself. I have to get to the podium because I have to be using this event to qualify for Colorado. So on that front, that mission was accomplished. So I got the number one AG. I was, the website says 4th overall. Got my sweet little 2021 Ultra Beast belt buckle. I haven't actually converted one of these and just put one on a belt, but I really should do that. And it says 60 obstacles. We got 70. That's just a minimum. Mission accomplished. I did well enough to get that spot in Colorado. And then what else? On mile 12 of the first, so on the first lap, I did feel like my right IT band it wasn't tightening up yet, but I would say it's what I call it was starting to talk to me a little bit, feeling just kind of sensitive in the right knee. And so I did have a concern about that with, at that point, 18 more miles to go. But maybe the slow as I was going on the second lap helped save me from a more intense impact that might have aggravated me a little bit more. So I came out of it. My knees felt kind of tight, and of course plenty tired. And then my legs were really stiff on Sunday on my travel day, coming home and just sort of gimping around the house. But like I said, it's 30 miles, and I don't normally do 30 miles, volume for training. So I was really tight on Sunday, and then I had to go back to work Monday, and everything felt perfectly loose. The one thing I've got is some little bit of sensitivity right here, and I've been the camera. So that's where the extensor tendons come down from the lower leg and run across the top of the foot. I've had some recurring issue in that area. Sometimes in training, I've found that if I step up how much uphill work that I do, that I'll find that to be an issue that has cropped up for me. So I am careful with that, and I'm careful with how much like incline treadmill kind of work that I'll practice, because I don't want I don't want a training injury. Of course, the point of training is to get stronger and more prepared for the event, not get hurt and take yourself totally out of the game before a race. So I'm careful with the uphill training. So that's just been a little bit sore, and that's my main excuse for not doing any running yesterday. I felt like I should, if that wasn't bugging me. I didn't want to go out and run just to be a martyr, but we did have like a record-setting Western Washington heat day yesterday, and I thought, well, it would be good to get out and get a run and have a little taste of, don't get that opportunity very often to practice running in 105-degree weather, but with that little bit of sensitivity and those extensor tendon, I just didn't want to aggravate something just to be a martyr and boast that I ran in 105 degrees. So I did a little easy stair climb, and that's it. And as far as anything else upper body, my shoulders had actually been bugging me since the trifecta weekend in Montana. At first I just came out thinking it was just soreness, but a week and a half later, as it was affecting me trying to do resistance training in the gym, I realized I actually had an issue. So that's messed up my upper body routine lately. But that didn't turn out to be much of a problem. I didn't feel any pain during the course of my 70 obstacles. And like I said, I had the one fail with a little bit of forearm fatigue on the beater. But nothing feels hurt now, upper body, so that's good. And I'll give myself a little bit of time to just kind of wait and see. Because, like I said, I've found that sometimes I can come away from an event and thought that all I had was soreness. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. You know, I'm jumping the gun and being thankful for getting through a challenging event injury-free, and find out, more than a week later, oh, this thing I thought was just sore has actually got a real problem. So I'm going to take a little bit easy in terms of getting right back into the training routine. But I don't have a lot of time for taking it easy because U.S. National Championship Series, Utah coming up in 3 weeks. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. Really, can't wait for that event. Love Utah. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Probably a nice dose of heat and sunshine is what we're going to get, and some good elevation and climbing. So there we go. My post race on North Carolina. If you're looking to book an ultra where you don't have the hypothermia challenges to manage, something like North Carolina in June is not a bad option. Like I said, practically no climbing, no altitude, and no risk of getting cold. So good event. Had safe travels. Nice to get the qualification for Colorado. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the finish line soon.